Hello. Hello. How are you? How are you? I'm still alone at this time, and this is a live. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go out and pop out a few invitations while I wait. Good morning. I don't know who I'm with right now. Ah, we're talking about the full moon in Virgo. I had absolutely no intention of doing that. Honest to goodness, my whole thing was I'm so done with doing moon readings. So many people are currently doing moon readings and younger healers, and I've really opened up the space doing that sort of thing, astrology, over the last 5 years. African astrology has taken its space, in our community, and we've been having these conversations. And I felt like I had done my part, but I'm not the only one who gets to say what happens here. And I was outvoted by, yep, you guessed it, the ancestors. So here we are. We are doing this reading for the full moon in Virgo. I am Makhosi Nomabutho, and this is Sangoma Society, where we demystify the astral and the ancestral. And there is so much that I want to share. There's so much that is so beautiful about the moon. I keep getting these requests about um, studying African cosmology and do I teach it? The thing is, ebungomeni, we teach as we go. You learn by emulation. So even as people do pick up what we put down and put it forward in their own ways. There's nothing wrong with that. It's part and parcel of how things work, ebungomeni. It's part and parcel of how things work in our culture, in how we learn and teach within our culture, which is by emulation. And where we are emulated in ways that honor what we do, we are happy. And how we teach is through these readings. We share all there is to share at the time that there is to share it in terms of African cosmology. However, if really, really you feel that the door is knocking, like the call is coming from inside the house, you need to study this seriously. Guys, African astrology, ubunyanga. You initiate into ubunyanga. Ubunyanga ubukhalela inkani. You do not just go into a class and study it. Um, so if you have felt the call coming from inside the house, understand that that is the call. Sabela uyabizwa. Tina, we are talking about the full moon in Virgo today, and it is definitely for abantu abasabela ababiziwe. This moon is definitely for speaking to how we work, how we show up in the rhythms of how our work shows up in our lives. And if you're feeling that gravity right now in your life, if you're feeling that heaviness, if you're feeling that there's something going on and you don't think you have all of the bearings on what it is, well, let me tell you what it may be. With this full moon in Virgo, we're working towards that Saturn Kazimi Pisces that is speaking again to how we work. Virgo speaks to how we work, all our perfectionisms, all of our things that we bring to the table. But you know, the thing that I love the most about the cycles of the moon and the way in which the moon teaches is how the moon always looks back. It's very much in the rhythm of African astrology that we start where we come from, not Pambili. And if you look at the days leading up to the full moon on Saturday, Thursday, and Friday, the moon was in Leo. So revisiting that question about what does it mean for you to be the main character in your life before asking you how that character shows up, the method, the rhythm, the understanding of that. Because the thing is that the moon is teaching us 2.5 days, 2 to 2.5 days in every sign is a very fast pace to move at. So the moon is our fastest moving astral body. And as it does so, it governs our inner world. And it gives us an opportunity to cycle through what is happening inside of us from one month to the next. And we have these opportunities to learn. So let's talk for a minute about how we work here at Sangoma Society. Mina, Makhosi Nomabutho. This is Sangoma Society. We teach here. We do work in service of the ancestors here. We demystify different aspects of what it is to be an African at this time, what it is to be isangoma, inyanga, umuntu ophila nedlozi, umuntu ogulela idlozi. I do this work in the capacity of Ubunyangabani, and I do it in service of the people who know that the movements of these astral bodies affect them, and they want to understand and they want to live in greater harmony. So at Sangoma Society, we have a host of offerings that lean into serving that. But the reality is that we are not all in the same season of life. We're in different seasons of life. So we have different offerings for people in their different seasons of life. And absolutely, the different courses that we offer, they can get you where you're wanting to go. But the thing is, if you're approaching them from where you are right now, rather than where you're trying to get to, I think you get more value out of them. So, take for instance, Answers from Our Ancestors. It is absolutely free. It is a 15-part online course that you can do by yourself at home over the course of 15 days. This is a course that is best designed for somebody who is questioning where they stand with their divine creator, where they stand with their ancestral calling, where they stand between themselves and themselves. If you're in that place, even if you're enrolled in the other courses, go to Answers from Our Ancestors and let it give you those answers. We don't do the work merely for profit. We don't do the work for profit at all, in fact. We do the work because it is what we are called to do. And it is within our divine purpose in God to do this work. So, Answers from Our Ancestors being free is not because it is light or easy or less. It is because that is what is needed. Okay? At that point in life. And also the reality that So many people abakulela idlozi, they go through that process without any guidance, without any way of gaining deeper understanding. This is a tool for doing the work, for getting that understanding. And even if you are in that place of loss, in that season of loss within Ingulo Yako, you can still afford to do this course. We have ensured that each video is under 300 megabytes so that you are able to watch it with as little data as possible. It is self-facilitated. You're able to email questions or put sections in the comment section of the course. And with each cycle ending, we go live and answer those questions for you. If you're in the place of your life where you're in your shadows, you're angry, you're bitter, you're frustrated, you're grieving, the grief work that we give you is clearing into consciousness. It's right there for you. And it's for that person who knows that it's time to put down what they're carrying, that the next season of life needs something else from them, a different iteration of themselves to show up. And they're ready to grieve the self that is hurting. There is clearing into consciousness. Then there is you who is seeking their path. You know that you have a higher purpose in God. You know that higher purpose exists, but you feel uncertain of yours. Pivoting into purpose is right there for you. And the thing that is wonderful about all these courses is that they're tiered. So with each course, you're basically still going to retain access to the previous course that you've had. You understand? And if you want to share more about the access that you have had and the success that you've experienced with the course tier that you're on, and you want to be able to move on to the next tier, you can do that. And how you do that is by writing a review in our review section, or sending in a review video using WeTransfer to sangomasociety@gmail.com. And with that, you can actually get up to the value of the course at the moment that it is. So, for instance, if you joined Clearing into Consciousness when it was 750 Rand and you give us a written review, we'll gift you back a that voucher, a voucher for the value 750 Rand, so that you can pay it forward just as you are paying it forward with us into your growth, getting into the next tier. If you, however, you're happy to give us a video testimonial, then we will give you the value of clearing into consciousness right now, which is $99 or 2,000 Rand. And you can use that towards your purchase or access to pivoting into purpose or prospering in providence. So when you say, with your affirmation of this work, we respond in affirmation of you in what way we can, because this is community, right? And that brings us to, why do we always have a bonus going on? Because it's community. Because sometimes what we do, the most important aspect of it is that we do it together, not just by ourselves. And that's a lot of what the age of Pluto in Aquarius is going to be asking. And this moon, full moon in Virgo, is asking you how you show up in your community. What's that rhythm for you? For me, the rhythm is consistency. And there have been times when I've compromised that consistency in favor of other things. But for me, I believe going forward, I will sacrifice whatever it is in favor of the consistency. And right now, the consistency is that there's something happening on here at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning, here on YouTube. This is what we do. This is where we are. This is what I love. And this is where my providence comes from, where prosperity is for me, is in showing up. It it prospers me. It's the method of my miracle. And it may not make sense how I show up, but it works for me. You can figure out the method in your miracle um, in the bonus section of Pivoting into Purpose, where you can do the Making a Miracle masterclass, where we uncover the method in one's miracle. But right now, we're in clearing season. It's a full moon, and we have been doing a special cycle of clearing within the Sangoma Society School, which is clearing into providence. And it is basically the same modality as clearing into consciousness, but how it works is that this one is specifically the one that exists inside the Prospering in Providence course. So it's not like the one that you're used to. It's not as gentle. It is much, much more confrontational. It goes a little bit deeper below the surface and holds you much more accountable than clearing into consciousness, which is open and holds the space for a lot more. Clearing into providence is specifically for a person who knows that they're living in their answered prayer, because it says that to know that your prayer has been answered is to know that you have been favored. To have been favored is to have been given a responsibility. To be in a position of responsibility means to be held accountable. So that is currently available to all enrolled students, all paid students. So access is granted this week to those members of Clearing into Consciousness and Pivoting into Purpose, and of course, Prospering in Providence. And let us tell you why it's been so important that we go through a season of intense accountability right now. Wow. The month of February, if we bring it back to the full moon reading for the month of February, the year reading and what we covered in the month of February was accountability. And that is the reality of what it is. It is understanding that you're not going to get away from the fight by sneaking away. You're going to have to stand 10 toes in what you say you stand for and represent it. Ugh, of course. Oh, Makhosi, Makhosi. You're going to have to be in the truth of your integrity if you want to attain the beauty that Virgo brings, the innocence, the purity, her purifying presence in our lives. If you want that, you're going to have to step in to the truth of your integrity. And that truth requires that you hold yourself accountable. Now, we have seen in the last month some serious movements of the astral bodies. February has been intense. The 13th of February, we saw Mars conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius. So you are understanding what it is that you have to fight for this season, this generation, these 20 years. And a theme that has been ongoing is that it doesn't end how you think it will. When we say it doesn't end how you think it will, we mean give yourself an opportunity to introspect on how it may in fact end. Give yourself an opportunity to introspect on why it is you want to fight for what you want to fight for. Interrogate, discern. On the 19th of February, we had Chiron conjunct the North Node in Aries. Oh, did we say fight for those wounds? Fight for those wounds? Oh my goodness. You want to fight everybody but yourself? You want to fight everybody but what is crying from inside the house? Chiron is moving in ways this year that is putting our wounds in front of our faces just like that. And the opportunity that we have to step up, recognize, and embrace the wounded parts of ourselves is so great right now. And all I can hope for is that if these moments are showing up for you, that you are awake to the truth of what they are. Because so many people that we believe we have community with are not in community with us. They're in community with their wounds. They're in community with their egos. They're in community with being right at the expense of integrity. They won't say what the truth of the thing is. They have to find a way to carve the narrative into what serves them and their agenda in this moment. Whether it means calling another person out of their name, whether it means manipulation of others, whether it means outright lies. Virgo doesn't have room for that. And Virgo is here to ask you where you have lied to yourself, where you have need to confront these things in your life. Because we're moving and we're moving at a pace. This year doesn't have the time to wait. That's why we did this clearing into Providence right now, because you may not have access to prospering in Providence. Maybe the generosity with which your prayer has been answered isn't yet at the level where you can access that program. But you know that you have a prayer that is answered. And you're an enrolled student and you're working with us. Go to that program. It is in the community section of the Sangoma Society School, and use it while this opportunity presents itself, because we're working in a cycle right now that is in harmony and in the rhythm of African cosmology, which is to say that we look back before we look forward. So our school cycle is beginning with the full moon and ending with the new moon. And when we set those intentions, we go into our lives to live until the next full moon. And we begin again with the full moon, looking back before we look forward with each cycle. So each cycle is giving you about 15 days that the school is in operation. It's not every day something is happening. No, there's the 3 days of the full moon work. And then, depending on which course you are in with answers from our ancestors, you will have a video and journal prompts to do every single day of the 15 days that the cycle is open. But the work is light enough that you can do that. If you're in clearing into consciousness, you have your 3 to 5 days of clearing, and then you revisit what you did in your Restful Reset workbook, or you actually do the work of the Restful Reset workbook. If you're in pivoting into purpose, you have the 3 days of the full moon and then the 3 days of the new moon. If you're in prospering in providence, you have how many ever days that that cycle is structured as. And yes, there is literally enough work that you will be doing the work for 15 days. If you're signed up in Prospering and Providence, it's not all online work. It's not all work that requires that you set up the time for 1 hour a day over those 15 days. Some of those days is just how deep it is that the reflection of the work is. Because to whom much is given, much is expected. And if you are living in the season of your answered prayer, you need to understand that you're going to be held accountable. That sometimes the cost of having an answered prayer is to break a generational curse. And when you break a generational curse, sometimes you find yourself within it like a tornado. It whirls, it swirls, it spits you out, it knocks you down. But to you, much has been given, and that which has been given so that it can carry you over this season, and you can fill your cup from that which you have been given. Fill your cup before you fill someone else's, because we make so many mistakes in the seasons of our answered prayers. We start by rescuing other people instead of rescuing our future selves. We do all kinds of things. Guys, if you do prospering, clearing into providence, and you find that it's a bit harsh, that it's unkind, understand it's not beginner's work. Beginner's work is there by clearing into consciousness. This is more intermediate work, and it requires accountability. Okay, it requires accountability, and that is the season that we're in right now. Hold yourself accountable. Understand that you have been called for greater, and understand that that Virgo energy that says, I work hard, I play hard, it's real and it's here and it's now. Lean into it. For the journal prompts from this full moon and this cycle as a whole, from now the 24th of February until the 10th of March. For the journal prompts reflecting on that, please look in the comment section below, or alternatively, you will find them in your in the transcript of this reading within the newsletters that will come out from us in the days to come. But until then, I am so excited to be able to share space with you in the community section of the Sangoma Society School. Please note that if you are restricted from participating in the community section, it is either that you are not on one of our paid programs, or because you have not signed and returned your NDA to us. And in the community section, we need to hold space for everyone to be safe and be able to freely express themselves. And that is why those NDAs need to be signed and returned, so that your agency is respected, and that which is information that is private to you can be respected by all members of our community, while you are granted the community that you deserve for participating where you participate. Okay? Makhosi. Mina ngingumakhosi Nomabutho. This is Sangoma Society, where we demystify the astral and the ancestral. It has, as always, been a privilege to be in your presence. I hope to grow with you. I hope to learn with you, and I hope to work with you in the manners that we do in this space, Sangoma Society, where we demystify the astral and the ancestral. Until next time, Mabukhanya. You.